When it comes time to finish your grow, you're sometimes left with a lot of things that you wish you had done better and a lot of things that you wish you had done from the get go. And today, Luke's going to be talking a little bit about his experience just finishing up. We're going to talk about a little bit of the plans of, setting up for your next grow, a little bit of things that you can do to improve, and just a little bit of feedback on the latest harvest. So it's going to be quite cool. And without further ado, where are you at now? So you've obviously harvested and the room's cleared, and you're now looking to. Are there some big changes that you're going to make to the space?
Yeah, so with the next run, we are implementing CO2. So over the course of this weekend, I'm doing a big clean reset. I'm spacing my lights a little bit differently, and then going in and getting our power readings and PPFD readings off of that so that I can then calculate my CO2 input thereafter. And then changing a couple of fan systems, moving my table a little bit further away from the wall for airflow reasons, making it a little bit more manageable to work in. Having using every inch of your grow area is cool, but you need to have some space to at least do the work. Otherwise you're setting yourself up for disaster there. So little things like that, changing dehumidifiers, getting a bigger dehumidifier in there. We've also recently just taken it off grid along with the whole house, so that is going to make a big difference. One thing I have noticed is the power cuts just makes it very tedious and difficult to grow in, and can lead to you not being motivated to maybe stick on top of the things like you should. So that I think was a very, very big reason for going offline and then resetting on this next run, making sure that everything is, as much as I can, get sorted, and that I've got my notes from the previous runs. Every single run has gotten better through the space. We are making adjustments after every run. You have to have a look at and see what you need to do differently, and so far so good. So yeah, CO2 is going in. We're also using the Trollmaster automation system. So from lighting to watering to my air conditioners, dehumidifiers, humidifiers, that's all being controlled by a smart brain network, and that really, really does help me optimize as much as I can.
So these improvements, were they like what were your major and this is like fess up time, but like what were your major shortfalls? Not that they were shortfalls, but like everyone's got to be critical on themselves. Where did you find during your last run that you've mentioned the CO2, you want to obviously do that for a bit of a bump in the yield, but what were the problems that you think you could have mitigated had you known at the beginning, or know what you know now?
I think I kind of knew that my dehumidifier that I was running was a little bit too small. It definitely doesn't get my VPD in check as much as I'd like to. And then as we were going and finishing flower in our space here in the Western Cape, we had sort of a good couple of days of rain. And because it's not a closed loop system, then we had the weather outside getting a lot of moisture in, as well as the plants doing their thing, sweating, etc., etc. So massive humidity spikes there, which isn't always the best, especially late into flower. And then the dead spots. For me, that having airflow dead spots was, you could see the difference. I did have a little bit of a thrip damage and thrip problem that came in, and having those dead spots definitely didn't help. And I know that that's not the only reason why. The immunity of the plants wasn't 100% there. The biologicals within the medium weren't there, so they were struggling to fight it off. And towards the end there, I noticed, I'm also struggling to try and keep up with them. So being a little bit hardier on my IPMs, and then making sure that I've got my airflow sorted, and that I can minimize as much dead spots within the space was extremely important.
So with regards to the product as well, so we obviously have a few tips and tricks for getting the next setup going and improvements. But what are you planning now to processing wise? Are you going to be obviously just doing a dry and cure, keep it as flour, or are you going to do dry cure, maybe make it into an oil, distillate, press, hash? What are you planning?
So it's quite a bit of flour to sustain us through the winter coming up, which is cool. So yeah, we're going to be experimenting a little bit. All our offcuts go into blasting or processing. So either into making dry sift hash or directly into BHO, butane hash oil. Alternatively, we are going to be doing quite a bit of pressing as well. And then all of our in terms of processing, what we like to do is sort of like a farming scale is don't leave anything to waste. So stems all go into composting, root masses and root balls, and medium is all recycled. Trims and offcuts and small popcorn buds all goes into processing, whether it is to make hash oils using butane or rosin, etc., etc. So currently not really a plan, I would say, set in place for exactly what we're going to do. But I know we're going to make some cool BHO within the next week or so, Dean and myself. So that's going to be lots of fun. And then hopefully making some distillate in the future. That's definitely something that we need to look at. You know, the carts and everyone loves smoking the carts when you're out and about and in public. It's quite nice and easy to do it. You know, you're not sparking up a fat joint or a bong somewhere. You know, I think that's something that I'd love to get in and find a little bit more about, you know, get the extraction
modern day
game
conveniences. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I'm
exactly.
also hoping to try out some of the distillate when it's ready and some of the finished product. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. I would like to just reintroduce our Patreon, which we have linked below. We are bringing it back to life, and we are also sponsored by NordVPN. So if you're searching for any scrupulous things online, it does help to have a VPN, especially here in South Africa. If you log in to things like Netflix, when your VPN's on, you get better videos, you get like the American content, which is always a little bit better. And obviously, if you're watching this, you may be Googling some scrupulous things from time to time. So it does help out using that. So yeah, guys, thanks so much. This obviously, or YouTube doesn't monetize us, so we do have to get a little bit of support where we can, and it's always appreciated. Luke, your knowledge today that you shared is invaluable. Really, really appreciate it. And until next week, guys. Peace.
Peace.